Alex, what's our first topic for the show this week?
Concrete, growing concrete, the need to build concrete farms. Mike Graham has been brought in as some sort of consultant because only he has the secret to growing concrete.
Well, you can't grow concrete.
You can.
Phil,
The story has yet to set.
Well,
Phil, what's going on with the concrete?
Given that Education
Pour
Secretary
it out,
managed to
Phil.
spend
Pour it out.
£36 million on refurbishing her offices, goodness knows what Graham's consultancy fee will be. But essentially, so
But she didn't know about it, allegedly.
Well, then Keir Starmer, the lawyer who has to, pay careful attention to detailing documents, has made a mistake in examining the documents then. Also, the thing is then, so she didn't know anything about it. Who did? Because that's an awful lot of money to spend on office refurbishment. You don't let the office junior decide those things, do you? That is the Secretary of State who decides that. So who does she think? Who has she job shared with that we don't know about?
I wouldn't be surprised if
maybe
it's
her
the only
husband.
office refurbishment that's taken place.
So post-war rebuilding, there's a lot of needs to build a lot of buildings very quickly. They use this concrete, which is fine. There's a lot of people say, "Oh, if it was dodgy concrete, why did they use it?" It wasn't dodgy concrete. It was it was particularly suitable for buildings. It was lightweight. It was good for insulating. You just had to be aware that the building will not stay standing reliably above 30 years old. So just replace it. It shouldn't be that hard to replace a building every 30 years. Now, we don't build them like that anymore, so the last ones were built in the 90s, which is presumably the ones on their last legs now. Well, beyond their last legs. So the government, being, Tories being Tories, decided, funding for school budgets. Yeah, we don't really do that. Because as far as they were concerned, why do you need a new building? You've got one, haven't you? Yes, but at some point it will fall down. Yes, but it's not falling down now, is it? So as far as they're concerned,
We can put them in tents. Get the children outside. Get them in tents.
They wouldn't have even thought about that. They will have just thought this building is not falling down. Now, they're probably really annoyed. Gillian Keegan's probably really annoyed. Well, why didn't they tell me which day it would fall down?
Yeah,
that's probably what she's thinking.
I think it was. I can't remember which Byline Times was. It was the East. I think it was the East Anglia Byline Times.
It was, yeah.
Someone from a whistleblower from our office said, "Oh yeah, if we can, at least keep quiet about it for the next 2 years, well, it's not our problem."
Yeah, keep a lid on it.
She hasn't said anything to counter that, but then, do you? Would you?
Well, the thing is, it really doesn't matter because you look at what she's actually done, which is nothing. So whether she said
all
it
I'm
or
going to
not,
say
she may
is
have-
that the
she may as well
woman
have
works really hard and just deserves an occasional thanks.
done. Yeah. I mean, my sympathies
We've
with
got
the
to say
teachers
thank you to her.
and the parents because this is huge disruption, and some of these people disrupted will be in their GCSE years. Not that it, if you knacker 1 year even before GCSE, you then knacker the GCSE year, and some of them may be moved to other schools, which means more overcrowding in classrooms. Some of them being taught in halls or porter cabins.
Disruptive for the kids as well, because that's a big thing to go and get lumped in with a bunch of random kids, potentially in GCSE year, trying to make new friends.
Yeah, and it's coming off the back of COVID as well. So there's still technically teachers are still dealing with all the post-COVID fallout. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to add to it even more.
There was something within that as well, because if they're having to get the kids to work from home, if they can't get them into another school, are they providing them with laptops?
Well, they did last time. So there was a mechanism last time. So I imagine
What, with COVID?
Yeah. Well, they did in my college.
No. There was about 100,000 kids that didn't have laptops because they were too poor. And the schools basically tried to provide their own, but of course they were still limited in the numbers.
Yeah.
I kept abreast about this because actually I was offering to consult with the government on this. And I actually met with the Department of Education on online schools in February. So I was pretty hacked off with them and what they'd done and what they hadn't done and what they hadn't prepared. But it also, it brings in the bigger problem of poverty within the UK. You've got 100,000 kids, which, by the way, is I worked out the numbers the other day. If it's 800 kids per school, 800 to 1,002, I go on the lowest number. If it's 1%, if it's is it meant to be 150 schools, 156? That's 124,000 children that are being limited in their education, or had the potential to have something land and crash onto their heads.
Yeah.
And if you watch the interview with Gillian Keegan and Gibbs,
Nick Gibbs.
Boyd. If you listen to those two, they kept playing it down. It's only 1%.
Yeah.
It's only 5%.
It's only 1%.
The vast majority do not have RAC, but
And most of that is in, in areas that it's not really a danger at all. There's not many of them. The vast majority, there's no suspected RAC.
It's only a small number. It's 124,000.
Well, the thing is, do you know what it is? This is why I keep thinking it's a bit like Partygate then, because there'll be voters out there, parents of these kids, when they're saying it's only 1%. Those parents out there are going, yeah, but that's my kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what the next time we get a poll, if this will have affected the polling numbers again.
I mean, the thing is, they're at such a low floor anyway, so you could get it going down a little bit and not really tell anything. But something like this, if they were polling all right, all of a sudden they wouldn't be.
Yeah, I saw. I think it was Conservative Home put out their poll of ministers, and I know Rishi Sunak has slipped back into negative digits again, which doesn't spell good news, to be honest, for him. I think I keep on saying it. He's going to give the performance of a lifetime come the Conservative conference, and I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off.
Well,
I mean, there was rumours, I think, last weekend, 40 letters in the 1922 committee. You need 55 to trigger one in the current
53,
numbers.
53.
Wow.
But I'm not sure I believe that. Because the only person who could possibly know is Sir Graham Brady, and he won't say. Whereas there are some, there are people within the Conservative Party who would like to browbeat others to finish him off, to suggest that this is coming, or even just to keep him honest. It could just be a ploy to keep him honest, to sort of say to him, "You're close," and it doesn't matter that you will win the confidence vote. It will, because what will happen with the confidence vote? He will win it, but unless a child actually dies. But the problem with it will be is people will tot up the numbers and they'll say, right, this many Conservative MPs backed you. That is less than half of MPs in Parliament, so you do not have the confidence of the House. Now, he'll still be the Prime Minister, but people will just, this is exactly what happened with, say, Boris Johnson.
Yep.
It was like, you do not actually. So Labour, every time Sunak, I mean, they've already made some inroads in the fact that Sunak's had to back down to rebellions, but every time it happens now, they'll say, that's because you don't have a majority. You are running a minority government.
Do you think the ERG have up sticks and just gone, we're against him? Or
I don't think they're even a viable.
No, they're too split. They officially objected to the Windsor framework, and over half of the ERG members still voted for it. So, or at least failed to vote against it. Yeah. So they advised their own members to adopt a particular position and couldn't even persuade them.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show you the fracturing in the Conservative Party there is.
Yes.
That I think it was mainly that Brexit that brought them all together, and now that there isn't that.
Well, the problem is it made it worse, really, because it created this huge influx of MPs. We call them Red Wall MPs, but they have a fundamentally different need to what you might call the Blue Wall MPs, which is the more traditional MPs, but in vulnerable seats. So the Tory heartlands want low taxes. They're not that bothered about it. They get enough investment. They're not bothered about investment up north. Up north, they want the investment, and they don't really care about the taxes as long as, obviously, you're not taking the piss. Whereas what they got the high taxes and the no investment. So it's like, Sunak, I know, I'll screw both of you over. How will that? That's even, isn't it?
Have you seen the pure copium that I think it was Alexander Shokum is the MP for Rother Valley put out?
I can't remember.
Oh,
which one was it?
Oh my word! So he is coping super hard because they managed to win a Conservative councillor by-election in Dinning. Right. And he's like, "Oh my God, the Conservatives are winning in South Yorkshire. We're winning in South Yorkshire. Well, congratulations! You only managed to win one, council seat."
Yeah.
The turnout was like 500 people or something.
Yeah, on a 27% turnout, 9,000 electorate, 2,000 ballot votes.
It's not bad for a council by-election.
Yeah. It was actually quite high. I was expecting it to be a lot lower, to be honest. And I think they only had about a 200 lead. And in local council elections, to win, sometimes you only need like 200 or 300 votes to swing a win. And it's you're celebrating that.
Do you think the concrete's the final? Oh, come on, give me a pun. Give me a pun, Ollie. I was going to say the straw that broke the camel's back.
Do you think the concrete's finally going to crack?